Gray hair has become a statement of confidence for many women, especially as they enter their 60s. It reflects wisdom, freedom, and authenticity rather than something to hide. But in 2026, not every gray hair trend supports that powerful message. Many women assume that once they stop coloring their hair, the work is done. In reality, gray hair needs just as much intention as colored hair, sometimes even more. Certain trends that once felt safe now quietly add years instead of confidence. In 2026, gray hair trends are influenced by modern fashion, advanced hair care, and changing beauty standards. Styles that ignore these shifts can make gray hair look accidental rather than deliberate. The difference between modern and outdated is often subtle but very visible. One gray hair trend women over 60 should avoid is wearing a single flat shade of gray with no dimension. Flat gray absorbs light unevenly, making hair appear thinner and skin look tired. Without tonal variation, gray hair loses depth and movement. As hair ages, texture naturally changes, and dimension becomes even more important. Subtle variations in silver, white, and soft charcoal create the illusion of fullness. In 2026, flat gray reads less chic and more neglected. Another trend to avoid is letting gray hair grow long without intentional shape. Length without structure can drag facial features downward, especially around the jawline. This effect becomes more noticeable as hair density decreases. Long gray hair can still look beautiful, but only when it's thoughtfully layered and maintained. In 2026, unshaped length often communicates hesitation rather than confidence. Hair should support the face, not weigh it down. Extremely short, harsh pixie cuts are another gray hair trend that often backfires. While short hair can be elegant, sharp edges and severe lines highlight every angle of the face. This leaves no softness to balance natural facial changes. In 2026, softness and flexibility define modern short hair styles. Gentle layering and rounded shapes frame the face more kindly. A haircut should collaborate with aging, not expose it. Wearing gray hair while keeping eyebrows overly dark is another common mistake. Dark brows create a harsh contrast against silver hair, pulling focus away from the eyes. This imbalance can make facial expressions look severe. In 2026, eyebrow harmony matters more than ever. Softer brow shades complement gray hair and create a cohesive look. Small changes here can dramatically modernize the face. Another aging trend is neglecting shine in gray hair. Gray strands reflect light differently and can quickly appear dull if not properly cared for. Matte gray hair often reads as dryness or fatigue. In 2026, shine represents health and intention. Lightweight glosses and proper hydration make gray hair luminous rather than lifeless. Healthy shine instantly elevates appearance at any age. Ignoring yellow or brassy tones in gray hair is another mistake women over 60 should avoid. Pollution, sun exposure, and water minerals can discolor gray strands. Yellowed gray looks unpolished and unintentionally aged. In 2026, clean silver tones dominate because they look intentional and refined. Regular toning keeps gray crisp and cool. This small habit makes a significant visual difference. Center parts paired with flat gray hair can also be unflattering. While trendy, center parts emphasize thinning at the crown and facial asymmetry. Gray hair makes these details more visible. In 2026, softer side parts or broken parts add lift and balance. A slight shift creates volume without effort. These subtle changes often look more youthful than dramatic ones. Another overlooked issue is pairing gray hair with outdated makeup choices. Cool hair tones require thoughtful makeup balance to avoid a washed-out complexion. Without adjustment, the skin can appear dull. In 2026, makeup and hair work together as one system. Warm blush, defined lips, and gentle eye definition enhance gray hair beautifully. Ignoring this relationship weakens the overall look. Skipping regular trims is another habit that ages gray hair quickly. Split ends are more visible in gray and create a frizzy outline. Even the best color looks messy without maintenance. In 2026, maintenance signals self-respect, not vanity. Regular trims keep gray hair looking intentional and refined. Consistency is the quiet secret behind elegant gray hair. Flat roots are another gray hair trend to avoid. Volume naturally decreases with age, and gray hair tends to lie closer to the scalp. Flat roots emphasize thinning and reduce energy. In 2026, subtle lift is essential. Volume should look natural, never forced. The right cut and lightweight products make all the difference. Overstyling gray hair into stiff, frozen shapes is another aging habit. Heavy hairspray and rigid curls lock hair into outdated forms. These styles often feel more retro than elegant. In 2026, movement equals modernity. Hair should flow, shift, and reflect light naturally. Soft motion communicates confidence and ease. Wearing gray hair without considering wardrobe color is another subtle mistake. Certain muted tones drain the complexion when paired with silver hair. Clothing choices directly affect how gray hair is perceived. Contrast and clarity matter. Jewel tones and clean neutrals elevate gray hair instantly. Hair is part of a larger visual story. Gray hair itself is never the problem. The issue is carrying outdated habits forward without adjustment. When gray hair is intentional, it becomes one of the most powerful beauty statements at any age. This is only the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore even more subtle gray hair trends women over 60 should avoid in 2026 and the modern alternatives that transform appearance completely. Another gray hair trend women over 60 should avoid in 2026 is letting hair blend too closely with skin tone. When gray hair and skin appear almost the same shade, facial features lose definition. This lack of contrast can make the face look flatter and more tired. Contrast does not mean harsh or dramatic. In 2026, subtle separation between hair and skin restores balance and clarity. Even a small amount of contrast helps the eyes, lips, and bone structure stand out. Another outdated belief is that bangs should always be avoided after 60. Many women fear bangs will highlight wrinkles, but the wrong bangs are the problem, not bangs themselves. Avoiding them entirely can actually age the face. In 2026, soft curtain bangs or wispy fringe can refresh the face dramatically. They soften forehead lines and naturally draw attention to the eyes. When blended properly, bangs look modern and elegant rather than youthful or forced. Another gray hair trend to avoid is excessive straightening. Pin-straight gray hair often looks limp and emphasizes thinning. Heat damage is also far more visible on gray strands. In 2026, texture is embraced rather than erased. Soft waves and gentle bends add volume, movement, and visual interest. Natural texture brings life back into gray hair. Ignoring the neckline when choosing a haircut is another subtle but aging mistake. Hair that ends exactly at the jaw or neck can visually widen the face. This effect becomes stronger with gray hair. In 2026, length placement is intentional. Cuts that fall just below the jaw or above the collarbone help elongate the face. Small adjustments in length can create a noticeable refinement. Another trend women over 60 should avoid is overly icy, cool gray without warmth anywhere in the look. Extreme cool tones can drain warmth from the skin. This often creates a pale or ashy appearance. In 2026, balance matters more than purity of color. Even cool silver hair benefits from warmth in makeup, clothing, or subtle tonal variation. Gray hair should enhance the complexion, not overpower it. Letting gray hair thin without adjusting the hairstyle is another common issue. Hair density naturally decreases with age, and ignoring it makes thinning more obvious. Certain cuts unintentionally highlight sparse areas. In 2026, haircuts are designed to work with changing density. Strategic layering and texture create the illusion of fullness. Thin gray hair can still look abundant when styled thoughtfully. Another aging habit is sticking to the same hairstyle for decades. Familiar styles feel safe, but they lock the face into a specific era. Gray hair amplifies this frozen-in-time effect. In 2026, subtle evolution matters more than dramatic transformation. Updating shape, length, or texture keeps the look current. Modern does not mean trendy, it means intentional. Neglecting scalp health is another overlooked gray hair mistake. Many women focus only on strands, forgetting that healthy hair begins at the scalp. Poor scalp care leads to dullness and slower growth. In 2026, scalp care is part of beauty, not an afterthought. Clean, nourished scalps support shine, volume, and healthier gray hair overall. Strong roots create stronger strands. Another habit to avoid is skipping accessories entirely. Many women fear hair accessories look childish or outdated, but avoiding them completely can make styling feel unfinished. In 2026, refined accessories elevate gray hair beautifully. Simple clips, elegant pins, or silk scarves add polish without excess. The key is choosing quality over quantity. Wearing gray hair without adjusting eyeglass frames is another subtle mistake. Heavy or outdated frames can clash with silver hair. This imbalance pulls attention away from the face. In 2026, eyewear works in harmony with hair. Lighter frames or modern shapes complement gray hair effortlessly. A small change here can refresh the entire look. Another gray hair trend to avoid is letting hair become overly dry and fluffy. Gray hair loses moisture more easily, leading to frizz. Excess volume without control looks messy rather than stylish. In 2026, softness replaces stiffness. Hydration creates smoothness and controlled movement. Well-moisturized gray hair looks luxurious instead of unruly. Ignoring face shape when choosing gray hairstyles is another aging mistake. Not every popular style suits every face. Gray hair makes these mismatches more noticeable. In 2026, personalization defines elegance. Hairstyles are tailored rather than copied. The right shape enhances natural beauty instead of fighting it. Another common issue is letting gray hair fade into the background of personal style. Hair should be a feature, not an afterthought. When ignored, it loses its visual impact. In 2026, gray hair is worn intentionally. Whether bold or subtle, it deserves attention. Styled with care, it becomes a signature rather than a compromise. Many women hesitate to experiment with gray hair after 60. This fear leads to overly safe choices that quietly age the face. Playing it too safe often backfires. In 2026, confidence comes from informed choices, not rigid rules. Small, thoughtful changes create fresh energy. Gray hair thrives when paired with confidence. Another trend to avoid is copying younger influencers' gray hairstyles exactly. What works at 30 does not translate the same way at 60. Structure and balance matter more with maturity. In 2026, inspiration should be adapted, not duplicated. Mature beauty shines when styles are refined. Gray hair deserves its own design language. Gray hair, paired with poor posture and grooming habits, is another silent issue. Hair frames posture, and posture frames confidence. Together, they shape how others perceive you. In 2026, posture and grooming work together. Upright posture enhances every hairstyle. Gray hair looks more elegant when worn with confidence. As this part shows, gray hair mistakes are rarely dramatic. They build slowly through small habits repeated over time. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. In the next part, we'll explore the most misunderstood gray hair trends of 2026 and how to replace them with timeless alternatives. These changes don't erase age, they elevate it. One of the most misunderstood gray hair trends in 2026 is believing that natural means doing nothing. While gray hair is natural, unrefined gray hair often looks unfinished. Intention is what separates effortless from careless. Many women over 60 stop experimenting once they go gray. This creates a visual plateau where hair no longer evolves with the person. Gray hair should mature with you, not freeze in time. Another mistake is choosing haircuts based solely on convenience. Easy maintenance often becomes the priority, but overly practical cuts sacrifice elegance. Convenience should support style, not replace it. In 2026, smart design replaces low effort. The most flattering gray hairstyles are designed to grow well, move well, and age well. Good hair should work for you every day, not just at the salon. Another trend to avoid is wearing gray hair with no framing around the face. Hair pulled straight back exposes every line and hollow. This creates harshness instead of confidence. Soft framing restores balance instantly. Even minimal face framing layers soften expressions and bring warmth. Gray hair becomes more welcoming when it interacts with the face. Many women also underestimate how lighting affects gray hair. Gray reflects light differently and can look flat in poor lighting. This often leads women to blame their hair rather than the environment. In 2026, awareness changes perception. Strategic styling and shine help gray hair respond better to light. The result is depth, dimension, and presence. Another overlooked issue is choosing the wrong hair density for your lifestyle. Some styles require more fullness than gray hair naturally provides. Forcing these styles leads to frustration. Modern gray hairstyles respect natural density. They enhance what's there rather than fighting it. Acceptance paired with smart design creates harmony. Another trend women over 60 should avoid is neglecting the ends of their hair. Dry, wispy ends weaken the entire look. Gray hair shows damage faster than pigmented hair. Healthy ends communicate care and vitality. Trimming is not about losing length, it's about refining shape. Strong ends elevate the entire hairstyle. Some women believe gray hair must always look soft to be flattering. Too much softness, however, can appear shapeless. Balance is essential. In 2026, structure and softness coexist. Clean lines paired with gentle texture create sophistication. Gray hair looks strongest when it has purpose. Another mistake is ignoring seasonal changes. Hair needs shift with weather, humidity, and temperature. Using the same routine year-round limits gray hair's potential. Modern gray hair routines adapt seasonally. Moisture levels, products, and styling techniques evolve. This flexibility keeps hair responsive and healthy. Another misunderstood trend is avoiding boldness altogether. Many women fear gray hair cannot handle statement styles. This belief limits expression. In 2026, gray hair is bold by nature. It carries authority in presence. When styled with intention, it supports strong shapes beautifully. Some women also hold on to outdated advice meant for a different generation. Beauty standards change, but habits linger. Gray hair exposes outdated thinking faster than color does. Letting go of old rules creates freedom. Modern gray hair reflects self-awareness, not restriction. Evolution is the true marker of confidence. Another trend to avoid is hiding behind hair instead of using it strategically. Hair should enhance identity, not obscure it. Overgrown or overused styles blur individuality. In 2026, gray hair becomes part of personal branding. It communicates clarity, confidence, and authenticity. When styled intentionally, it becomes unmistakable. Many women underestimate how posture and movement affect hair appearance. Hair responds to how you carry yourself. Confidence changes everything. Gray hair paired with presence feels elevated. When posture improves, hair instantly looks better. The body and hair tell the same story. Another mistake is assuming youthfulness should be the goal. Trying to look younger often creates tension. Gray hair thrives when age is embraced, not disguised. In 2026, elegance replaces youth chasing. Grace, confidence, and refinement take center stage. Gray hair becomes a crown rather than a compromise. Some women fear that updating their gray hair means losing their identity, but identity evolves. It doesn't disappear. Hair is simply part of that evolution. Modern gray styles honor who you've been and who you are becoming. They bridge experience with intention. That balance is powerful. Another trend to avoid is treating gray hair as a trend instead of a lifestyle. Trends fade, but gray hair remains. Treating it as permanent encourages better choices. In 2026, gray hair is curated, not chased. Long-term thinking leads to timeless results. Consistency creates confidence. Gray hair mistakes rarely happen overnight. They build quietly through habits repeated over time. Awareness creates the opportunity for change. The most powerful shift happens when women stop asking what gray hair takes away. The better question is what it adds. Gray hair adds authority, clarity, and presence. In the final part, we'll bring everything together and talk about how to replace outdated gray hair trends with timeless, modern choices. These are the decisions that transform gray hair into a signature, not a sacrifice. By the time women reach their 60s, gray hair is no longer just a color choice. It becomes a reflection of self-acceptance, confidence, and identity. Treating it with intention determines whether it feels empowering or limiting. One final trend to avoid in 2026 is comparing your gray hair journey to someone else's. Every woman grays differently in texture, tone, and pattern. Comparison often leads to dissatisfaction instead of clarity. In 2026, individuality is the goal. Gray hair looks best when it reflects the woman wearing it, not a copied ideal. Authenticity always reads more modern than imitation. Another mistake is waiting too long to make changes. Many women tolerate hairstyles they don't love out of habit. Over time, discomfort becomes normalized. Gray hair should feel aligned, not tolerated. When hair matches how you feel inside, confidence becomes visible. Small updates often create emotional relief as well as visual improvement. Another outdated belief is that elegance requires simplicity at all times. While simplicity can be beautiful, it shouldn't erase personality. Gray hair can handle nuance and character. In 2026, elegance includes detail. Texture, movement, and thoughtful styling elevate gray hair beyond basic. Subtle complexity creates lasting interest. Some women avoid professional advice once they stop coloring their hair. They assume gray hair requires less expertise. In reality, gray hair benefits even more from skilled guidance. A trained stylist sees structure, balance, and proportion. In 2026, collaboration replaces guesswork. Expert input prevents years of silent dissatisfaction. Another trend to avoid is resigning yourself to "this is just how it is now." That mindset limits possibility. Gray hair is not a dead end. In 2026, gray hair represents a new chapter, not a conclusion. Growth doesn't stop at 60, it refines. Hair should reflect that evolution. Many women underestimate how grooming habits affect gray hair perception. Clothing fit, skin care, and posture influence how hair is read. Everything works together. When grooming improves, gray hair appears more intentional. It feels elevated without effort. Harmony creates elegance. Another mistake is assuming boldness must be dramatic. Sometimes boldness is simply clarity. Clean lines and confident choices speak loudly. In 2026, restraint is powerful. Knowing what to leave out is as important as what to include. Gray hair benefits from this wisdom. Some women fear being judged for embracing gray hair fully. Society's expectations linger quietly. That fear can influence styling choices. But confidence neutralizes judgment. When gray hair is worn with conviction, it changes how others respond. Assurance is contagious. Another trend to avoid is treating gray hair as a compromise. Gray hair is not something you settle for, it is something you step into. In 2026, gray hair is framed as ownership. It signals self-trust and maturity. That message resonates more than youth ever could. Some women believe their most expressive years are behind them. Hair choices reflect this belief. Gray hair often absorbs that narrative, but expression does not expire. In 2026, gray hair becomes a medium for personal style. Creativity simply matures. Another common issue is overlooking the emotional aspect of hair. Hair carries memory, identity, and confidence. Ignoring this leads to dissatisfaction. When emotional alignment returns, styling becomes easier. Gray hair feels lighter, freer. The internal shift changes the external result. The most important trend to avoid is thinking gray hair has one correct way to exist. There is no single formula. Rules restrict what gray hair can become. In 2026, flexibility defines beauty. Gray hair adapts, evolves, and responds. Freedom replaces limitation. Gray hair does not need to be justified or explained. It does not need approval. It simply needs intention. When intention leads, gray hair becomes powerful. It commands respect quietly. Presence replaces permission. As this series has shown, avoiding outdated gray hair trends is not about chasing youth. It's about choosing alignment, clarity, and confidence. Gray hair becomes a tool, not a label. The women who wear gray hair best in 2026 are not trying to look younger. They are trying to look like themselves fully. That is what makes them unforgettable.